UFC 246 is coming to you Sunday out of Las Vegas T-Mobile Arena, a fantastic UFC arena. And joining us as he does as we preview the pay-per-view UFCs is Dan. Focused look on your face today. You're
serious. I'm here for business.
Yeah, you're 6 weeks 6 weeks away from your big Spark Arena showdown, which we'll talk about a little bit at the end. But we've got 13 fights to get through. The first one. Let's go with the first one. Sabina Marzo against JJ Alderic. Both had 4 wins of their last 5 fights, and it's a bit of a pick-em, this fight.
Yeah, I have it as a pick-em matchup as well. It's going to be a striking affair, I think, between these two girls. Marzo's got a couple of head kick knockouts on her record, and she does have an 88% takedown defense. So I'm going to side with Marzo. You know, I feel like it's going to be a close fight, but I give her the power and the wrestling advantage in this one. I feel like Marzo decision.
Then we go to Osborn versus Keller. Keller hasn't had a win for over 2 years. He's only a slight underdog, but had a couple of losses. Hasn't had his hand raised for a while.
Yep. So I'm going to start with Osborn. He's got 4 first-round finishes, but the opponent's records were 15 wins and 17 losses. So the quality opponent that he was beating in those, you know, it's quite easy to first-round finish, not the top-tier opponent. Kelleher, yeah, he's lost his last 2, but I feel like he just has too much experience. That's a fighter that I rate quite highly. In comparison, I feel like he has far too much experience for Osborn coming into this one, and he pushes a very high pace, very well-rounded. I got Kelleher grinding him out for a decision.
Then we go to, I've called him a submission expert, Askar Askarov, a slight favourite against Tim Elliott. Elliott, after a 2-year break, lost by submission just 3 months ago. So suspect to a submission fighter, and that's what he gets in Askarov.
So, yeah, Askarov, he made his UFC debut against Brandon Moreno. That was a draw. It was a pretty interesting fight to go back and watch. Before that, he was in ACB, which is the top promotion in Russia, and he's had all finishes before that. So 10 wins, all finishes coming into those fights with some pretty interesting submissions, variations of chokes, twisters. Tim Elliott, yeah, he's been quite inactive. I think 1 fight since 2017, and yeah, it was a pretty fast guillotine loss. I really want this fight to hit the deck. I really want it to hit the deck, and I feel like Askarov, yeah, he's just got the tightest submission game coming into this one, and I'm picking Askarov submission.
Me too. Then we go Kamiya against Ledet. I'm pretty sure in saying that Kadur is a Contender Series graduate, first fight in the UFC. Ledet's the underdog, but got UFC experience, but has lost the last 2 fights.
Yep. So Kamiya, 5-0, all finishes. He does come from a very strong camp, so it's Strong Style Gym, which is the heavyweight champ Stipe Miocic's gym. So this kid's quite highly touted. Ledet, yeah, coming off 2 losses, and those were both against prospects, Rakic and Johnny Walker from memory. So he struggles with just the youth and athleticism that Kamiya can bring to the table. I've got Kamiya via KO coming in this.
KO. All right, then we go Skelly against Dawson. Dawson's 14-1. There's a 10-year age difference, and he's a warm favourite.
Interesting. So, yeah, I've got this. This is a veteran versus prospect matchup. You know, Skelly is 7-4 UFC record, and he does push an incredible pace. Very strong grappling once it gets to the ground. Dawson, yeah, he's a bit of an unknown. But then I have it as a pick and match. I think it's a very close fight, and then it comes down to I think who I would rather fight, and I would rather fight Dawson because Skelly's pace and his just submission game is quite aggressive. it got him coming off a loss, but that was very controversial. He was in a choke. He didn't tap. The ref thought he was out and stopped the fight. And as soon as the ref pulled him off, he just popped up like, what? Why did you stop the fight? So, he is coming off a loss, but incredibly controversial. I feel like he's got a lot left in the tank. I got Scully grinding him out for a decision.
Then we go to, we got a German taking on an American, Hakparast against Dober. Both ranked about 30 in the world. Yep. The German, 11-2. Quite a warm favourite in this.
Dober's my boy.
Is he?
That's my boy.
Oh,
That's
right.
my boy. Drew Dober, man. I spent a lot of time with him training when I was over in Elevation, hanging out, sleeping on his couch. So I'm back at my boy Dober 100%. I feel like he just carries the power advantage in these two. He comes out very game, very fit, strong. He's turned the corner as of late. I feel like he blows this kid out of the water. Knockout.
Wow.
Bah, let's go.
How much of that's emotion, though, and how much of that is analysis?
Full analysis.
I'm writing KO down.
Get it.
Okay.
It's my boy.
KO. Then we go. Fili against Yusuf. Yusuf's climbing the ranks here, the Nigerian. He's a warmish favourite at $1.68. He's 10-1.
Yeah, Contender Series guy. Had my eye on him since the Contender Series. 3-0 in the UFC, and a few pretty good stoppages. He's touted as one of the highest up and coming prospects in the division. Andre Fili, though, he's a veteran of the game, and I feel like he's just a bit too well rounded for Yusuf. You know, Yusuf's a striking. He's going to come at this with a very striking approach. But I'm backing Fili. I feel like he just mixes the game up too well, and he's very well rounded. I'm going Fili via decision.
Wow, UFC 246 going to be a day for the dog. Now we've got the shortest price favourite I can remember in UFC. Macy Barber, $1.08 against Roxanne Modafferi at $6.90. And I think I'm right in saying Modafferi, she was a Contender Series fighter who surprised a lot of people on that.
Yeah, well, she's a veteran of the game. She's had, for a women's fighter, she's been around since women's MMA virtually was set on the scene. She's been so long, but her athleticism is just not there. She just comes out, and her technique is so good that she's been able to beat a lot of good people. But Macy Barber, the prospect, has finished all 4 of the women she's been set against inside of the UFC, which is unheard of for someone to come out of the gate in the women's division and get 4 stoppages in their first 4 fights. Too much athleticism, too much power for Roxanne. And this one, I got Macy Barber via KO.
Then we go.
You wrote it down before I even said it.
Yeah, I can tell where you're going with it. Anthony Pettis, amazingly, just under $3 against Diego Ferreira. I know Diego Ferreira's got a fantastic record, hell of a win streak going, but Pettis has had 3 losses in the last 5, but they are against Diaz, Ferguson, Perrier. He's been in with some good roosters.
Yeah, must be because of the level of opponent that Ferreira's been beating as of late. Habalov, and then he beat Mirbek Taisumov, who was 6-1, who'd been knocking everyone out. I think all 6 in one of those fights. He knocked his opponents out. So for him to then beat him, he's set himself as the next guy to break into the rankings. But I feel like Pettis has a lot of tread left on the tyres, and those were against the best fighters in the world. And it came down to a few exchanges. His last fight, I think, he broke his hand, and it was, you can say luck, but it was a bit unlucky that he wasn't able to get those fights across the line. I feel like he's just got too much skill for Diego in this one. It'll be a striking affair. Anthony Pettis will pick him apart on the feet. I got Pettis cruising to a decision. Boom.
Claudia Gadila against Alexa Grasso. Even fight, this one. Really, really even odds-wise. Grasso lost to Carla Esparza. Gadela beat Carla Esparza 3 fights ago. So I always look at common opponents, and that's the one I found.
Yeah, well, Grasso, she was touted as one of the next big prospects. Incredibly sharp hands. She's a very strong boxer, but she's going to be let down in the grappling department, and this Gedalia mixes things up really well, and I've got her taking her down, dominating the grappling exchanges and getting the decision.
UFC 246, as we say, out of Vegas. We've got 3 fights remaining. Alexei Olynyk against Maurice Green, namesake of the former 100 metres world record holder. Maurice Green is the favourite there. We remember Olynyk beat Mark Hunt about 15 months ago, and since then has had 2 losses. But this guy Green, he's 6'7". He is a big human.
Yeah, he's big. Not my opinion of super athletic or super dangerous guy. Alexei Olynyk, very interesting game. His submissions off his back, Ezekiel chokes, baseball bat chokes. Like, they're very weird submissions to be catching guys with. They're traditionally seen in gi jiu-jitsu, where you have the collar to grab hold of. Very rarely seen in MMA, and he's pulled off a lot of them. I think Alexei Olynyk via submission, I'm taking in this.
Even at 42 years of age?
Even at 42 years of age.
Okay. Holm against Raquel Pennington. Have both lost to Amanda Nunes. Have both lost to Jermaine Durandamine. It's an even matchup, this one. We've got Holm slight favourite.
Yeah, again, it's going to be a striking affair. They both do their best work on the feet. Pennington, if she wants to get the job done, I feel like she needs to be able to press Holm against the cage and have some form of success against the cage and the grappling exchanges there. But it's incredibly difficult. Holm has some of the best footwork in the division. I think we see a classic Holm performance, picking your opponent apart from range, hit, don't get hit, and picking up a decision.
And then the biggie, the notorious Conor McGregor. He's fought once in 3 years, and that was a loss to Khabib. Cowboy, it's his 5th fight in 1 year. So it's activity versus inactivity. It's a good matchup.
Yeah, it's a good matchup, but Conor McGregor's kind of following the Mayweather plan. You're going to have your best success when you fight, when you want to fight, and you let your body rest. And he's in that position now where he has enough money in the bank that now he can fight when he feels like he wants to fight, whereas Cowboy just continually fights. Whether his body's good or whether he's injured, he's going to go out there and fight regardless. But Conor's had a lot of time off, a lot of time to improve, a lot of time to get better, get sharper, let his body rest. Cowboy traditionally has struggled against southpaws. Rafael dos Anjos, Darren Till, he struggled against southpaws because he fights in such straight lines. Like, he's a very forward fighter, and he struggles against opponents that are able to turn him. And Conor McGregor is one of the best at getting people to turn onto his strikes. Cowboy as well, notoriously slow starter. Conor, notoriously fast starter. I've got Conor getting a KO pretty early in this one. I'm even going to see the first round. How
important for Conor McGregor to win this for the UFC, do you think? What does a win to Conor or a loss to Conor do? For his own career, he's got so many things built up after this. I think he wants a shot at, huge fights. Jorge Masvidal, which will be an incredibly huge pay-per-view. And then by then, we got the Ferguson Khabib situation sorted out. So then again, he jumps in straight away to fight the winner of that. I feel like that's regardless of, he'll go up and fight. This is why this fight's at 170. So then he can go up, stay up, fight Jorge Masvidal at 170. Regardless of the result there, he'll come back down to 55 and get a shot at the title. So everything hedges on beating Cowboy. If he loses to Cowboy, he still has the Nate Diaz trilogy sitting there. So we'll see. Win or loss, we're going to see Conor come back and fight again. So an early stoppage to Conor. As I mentioned, we're 5 weeks out from your big night at Spark Arena. What stage are you prepping at?
Training 7 days a week. It's quite easy. You just eat, sleep, train, and then
Repeat.
It just repeats every day. So it's just Groundhog Day, and that's why time between now and the fight goes pretty quickly. There's not an awful lot of time to think. You're just in the gym, spending time. But body feels good, no injuries. I feel like I got a lot left to push in this camp, and I've been going at it since I first had an inkling in my ear that this fight was going to happen. I've been pretty much sprinting towards the finish line, so I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm pleased that we'll be able to break up your eat, train, sleep routine just by getting in here for a little while. Dan, go well. We'll catch up with you again. We probably won't see you again before your big night. So I know the listeners and all the followers wish you well, my friend. Train well.
See you there.
Yeah.